Hey guys, so I think I have actually figured out how the citadels are spawned, and I think we've been mistaken about the map itself. I think most of us thought that the map is just generated and then, you go into random direction and hopefully you come across a citadel, after a couple of days, but that doesn't seem to be actually the case. I think the first clue was Doriani, because he did say that you need to cleanse the corruption, right? So this got me thinking, and I decided to test the theory out. And I cleared 25 tier 15 maps with corruption in them, like this one, right? And I wanted to see if I would be able to spawn citadels, and it did actually seem to work. Now, there's one more thing that I think makes people unable to spawn the citadels is because they just go they go into the fog and they just, clear a couple maps over here and they're like, okay, there's no citadel over here, so I'm just gonna, move elsewhere. And they choose like another spot over here, they move and, there's nothing here. And I think that's wrong, because I'm pretty sure that the game generates the content procedurally. So let's say this is the last map that I cleared. So the game generates content around it in all directions. I think it's about one horizontal screen worth. So in this case, I reveal this tower and I see this much, but what you see doesn't really matter. Uh, about one horizontal screen towards the tower would be around this much, right? So this is the content that's already generated in all directions around that tower. So if you were to just, explore the atlas randomly and, you're just going into the fog and you're probably not going to be finding any citadels because the content has already been generated and you don't meet the requirement of having cleared enough corrupted maps, maps with corruption. So to test this theory out, and to disprove another theory that I had that the citadels only spawn X amount of screens away from your starting point, I moved left because I only had cleared up until this tower. So everything on the left from here was not explored. So I had about this much content cleared. I mean, content spawned, generated rather. So everything past that, I assumed could spawn a citadel for me. And so, I moved left. I moved left. I also took this tower first, which granted was probably a mistake because it made me spawn a citadel over here. But I'll show you how I got to it. So everything past this point had a chance, or rather not a chance, it would spawn a citadel eventually. Um, it's just that it generates the citadel around you in any direction. So it's a little bit difficult to find the citadels. But if you go into a straight line and then just grab the towers that are in, you know, on the sides of that line that you're going, for example, these towers, you will eventually come across the citadels. So I moved into a straight line. This was the only way that I could go. And when I cleared this map, I got a glimpse of the citadel. So I decided that I will continue moving upwards rather than down because I already had, you know, I already had some stuff cleared over here and it was already generated up until around this point. So I figured the chances of me finding a citadel are probably fairly low. I still explored this later on and I was correct. There's no citadel here. Um, but I was moving upwards and the content has constantly uh, was constantly being generated around me as I was moving, and you know I grabbed this tower and boom, another citadel over here. So I moved further uh, up, grabbed this tower, boom, another citadel over here. And then at this point, I was like, okay, I got 3 citadels for 25 maps, so it probably means that it's around 1 per 8 maps, but then I remember that, you know, I grabbed this tower up here, so there's a chance that a citadel might have spawned over here. No chance that the citadel was here because I already, you know, I had generated content for because I cleared this tower and a bunch of stuff over here, so I knew there was no citadels over here, but there could have been a citadel over here, and I was correct. Sadly, you know, to get to it, I had to move all this way around, but I did move here just to check, and I was right. The citadel was right there. I also checked here to see if there's any more citadels. Maybe it's like 1 per 5 maps, but that's probably not the case. I imagine it's 1 per 6 to 8 maps that you get a citadel. So in reality, it's not that bad. It's actually, you know, it's clear 5 maps. I mean, clear like 8 maps and guarantee a citadel. It's pretty good. Of course, you do want to clear more than 8 maps. And to test this theory out, I also just cleared random maps that I had already unlocked in explored places, you know, things like these. You know, just a bunch of maps that were accessible already for me. So to kind of make sure that it is actually the amount of corrupted maps and, you know, nothing related to like the distance or maps around any specific tower. I just cleared maps that were already accessible for me. And on the way, on here, I cleared 2 maps that had corruption. I cleared both of them on tier 15s, but every other node in here has been done with tier 1 maps. I just kept buying maps from Doriani, and you know, I was just moving pretty fast. So I think this is actually how the game spawns the citadels, and I guess there's also a picture that I drew and posted in a couple of discords to kind of let people know. But basically, you get past the content that's already generated, which is represented by this red line, and you move into a straight line. You move into a straight line, and then you grab the towers that are on the sides, and there's a very good chance that you will find the citadel in about 1 screen worth. Like for me, it was, you know, if we say that this was like the area that has already been generated, 1 citadel to the left and 1 citadel northwest, and you know, I was moving upwards and it kept generating content and got more citadels. So I'm pretty sure this is how you actually spawn the citadels. And guys, please test the theory out and let me know in the comments if that is actually the case. I am like 90% certain that this is actually how you spawn citadels. It has nothing to do with you know, distance, towers, corpses, or even water for that matter. That's another theory that I had. Although it does seem that the citadels tend to just spawn near water, but that probably is just you know, how it's generated. Although I have seen a couple of citadels that aren't in water, like aren't touching water, but they were still relatively close. But anyway, test it out and please let me know in the comments. We need to debunk the citadel spawns once and for all so we can understand the game better. And yep, that is it for today. I will talk to you guys later. Bye bye.